Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Ali Usman. I am your brother in Islam. I'm back again for another session discussing about Dawah. So obviously, before we begin, we start with the name of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to give you the greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. So today we will be discussing the rewards, motivations, and the rewards of the Dawah. Last week we covered what is Dawah, and this week we'll be covering what are the motivations, why should we be giving Dawah. So if you guys can see this picture in front of you, I'm sure we don't have a live audience, but just to kind of gauge and assess, if you were to see someone like that, would you speak to that person and call him to Islam? And we've delivered this lecture course throughout the globe. And, you know, yes, some people have said that they would talk to him, and many people, they said they wouldn't talk to him. So the reason why we're bringing this picture up for brothers and sisters that are watching this, that, you know, I just want to give you a small story. There's a sheikh in the US who was giving dawah in Washington, DC, and he saw a brother just like that, who had a face like this. He actually looked worse than him. He had a mohawk. He had the devil's horns. He had blue eyes. And when he saw him coming towards him, he actually, you know, changed the direction and crossed the road and went on the other side. And he says, there's no way I'm going to speak to this person. So the reason I'm saying this is, so this brother, or the brother that was looked like the devil, as they say, when that brother kept walking, another Muslim brother went up to him and he started speaking about Islam. And all of a sudden, within 15-20 minutes of discussion, the brother took the shahada. And the sheikh, without giving any name, came back and he saw this brother taking the shahada, and he was just really taken back. And so he asked him, so he said to him, how come you accepted Islam? And he said that, this morning, that when I got up, I said that I'm going to find God. And this brother who came up to me and he explained about God, oneness, revelation, prophethood, and this spoke to me, and this is what I wanted, and this is what I accepted. So the moral of the story is, brothers and sisters, that when we see someone like that, we might be thinking that, this person doesn't, deserve to be, heard the message of Islam. But the reality is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't look at your external body. He looks at your internal. He looks at your heart. So this brother's heart was inclining to find his Rabb, his creator, his Lord. So what we're saying is, even though this is not the brother in the Washington, DC, but the same scenario applies, that this brother in the UK looked like this before Islam, and somebody did give him the dawah to Islam. And afterwards, this is the real picture of the brother. He's actually a Muslim, and he has accepted Islam, and he's practicing. So what we're trying to take away from this is that we should not judge a book by its cover. We should, share the message of Islam with whoever we can. So, and the reason why we need to do that is we need to have empathy, right? We have to care. The Prophet ﷺ had empathy for humanity. As you know, there's many stories of the Prophet ﷺ, how he gave dawah to the young boy who was on his deathbed, the Jewish boy. The Prophet ﷺ got up when there was another person who's walking by, and he was, another person that had died, and his funeral was going by, and the Sahaba said that, this guy is, he's Jewish, and he said, is he not son of Adam? So, he had lots of empathy. He really cared about humanity. So we have to have empathy for people, and that empathy should lead us that why we should be giving dawah. What we covered last week is, what is dawah? And today we're discussing what are the rewards and why we should be doing this, right? So as you can see, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that who is better in speech than who invites to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and does righteous deed and says, indeed, I'm one of the Muslims. So one of the things we wanted to mention, I don't know if I mentioned last week, is to share with you guys that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is first, the best speech is the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who is better in speech, right? And his speech, we use the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And we invite to what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ourselves have to do righteous deeds, right? We have to, say the shahada, bringing our tongue, bring it in, saying from our tongue, bring it in our heart, and then showing it on our limbs. Those showing on the limbs is doing the righteous acts. And then after that, telling them that I'm doing this because I'm a Muslim. So this is very, very important that we know this. So just a quick question for everyone that's watching this. This car, this Lamborghini, how many of us would want this Lamborghini? Now, the reality of the matter is that every one of us, whether we say, I don't really care, but majority of us would like to drive one of these cars. And the reason why we brought this car in here is to share with you that the Prophet ﷺ said, by Allah, if we were, if one person is guided through us, is better than any red camel. So we don't have red camels today, brothers and sisters. So this is an equivalent to our red camel, that is better. It's probably even worth more than that. And if we look at this red camels, why do they say red camels? Because the red camels, the people at the time, like even if you look at Umar bin Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, they asked him pre-Islamic, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I want a camel farm. And why did he said he wanted a camel farm? Because they understood this was the business. This is where you make money, right? You have a camel, and then the camel will produce more camels, which will produce more camels. So in the same way, the Prophet ﷺ is using, the best, types of camel, which is the red camel, is better than anything of the world. We're just making that inference here with the Lamborghini, right? So something we wanted to kind of share with you guys, that as the Prophet ﷺ said, you will truly not believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And as it says, love for linnas. It doesn't say love for your akhi, not for your brother. It's for linnas, for your brotherhood and brother in Islam, brother in humanity. Brother in humanity. So we as Muslims, if we love Islam and if we love it for ourselves, then we definitely should want it for others as well. So as we can see that we talked about this a little bit, maybe that we see the stories of the prophets. We don't see any of the information about the prophets, about what they came to do, except they came to give the message of La ilaha illallah. We don't see their salah. We don't see any of those, their dhikr and how many times did they, worship God in the morning, evening, So this is the main message of Islam. I think we covered that last week, to just kind of touch base with that, right? And what we're doing is when we're giving dawah, right? Last week we covered, what is dawah. Today we say when we're giving dawah, right? It makes us a companion. So what does that mean? Makes us a companion. The Prophet ﷺ's, his risala, his message, that started, after the Prophet ﷺ, on the last day on Arafat, he asked all of the Sahabas and companions, he said, did I deliver the message to you? And they said, Bala, yes, you have, delivered. And that ayah that came down on that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, today we have completed and perfected your religion for you, and I'm happy with the deen of Islam. So we know that Islam is complete. We know that Prophet ﷺ delivered the message completely. There is nothing that's left behind. And we know that that message was given to the Sahabas to continue on. And when they continued on the message from the Sahabas, they came their students, and then their students, and the scholars, and so on and so forth. So today, that these people that are no longer here, the companions and our pious predecessors, our giants of the ummah, and all those amazing people. So today, the torch bearing of the dawah, it comes on to us. So that's why it makes us a companion to be delivering the message of Islam. So this is why it makes us a companion. So the rewards are of giving dawah, as you can see here. Allah, the hadith says, and who is better than speech? Ayah says, who is better than speech? Who invites to Allah and does the righteous deeds, and says on one of the Muslims. And Hassan al-Basri says, the person is beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the wali of Allah that is most beloved to him from amongst the people of the earth. He answers the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, invites the people to the very same call that he's responded to. He works righteous deeds within his response and declares, I am one of the Muslims. So we can see that this is, not only Allah has guided us and given us the deen, we have been honored to be able to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his message. Now, if we have this beautiful deen, this message, we have to give to others, right? And just to kind of put it into perspective, just for humanity at large, right? That when we look at, for example, if we look at the Sahabas, the companions, we see them that they're buried all over planet Earth. We have companions that are buried in Indo-Pak. We have, Sahabas that are buried in modern day Turkey. We see their graves all over all over the world. Why do we see them all over the world? Is because they understood the message, and they wanted to deliver the message globally, not just to themselves. So why am I saying that? Because today, sometimes, we feel that, okay, if I'm giving, I'm praying, I'm going to the masjid, I'm establishing my, salah, I'm giving my zakat, I'm going to Hajj, that's good enough. Now, if you look at the best of people, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the companions, he's pleased with them and they're pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the best of the generations. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best of generation is my generation, or the people in my generation, the people after him and the people after them. So we know the best generation that the Prophet ﷺ is saying, the companions, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, many Sahabas did not stay in Mecca and Medina. Now, to just kind of give a small inference, if we were to go to Hajj and we were to, pray one rak'ah in the Haram, we would get 100,000 reward, right? So if we pray 5 times in Haram, then what would we get? If we were to do the homework here, 100, so we get 500,000. So 500,000 times 7, if we were to do the calculation, we'd get about 3.5 million. So 3.5 million rewards of praying in Haram for 7 days. Now, if we were to equivalent that to a masjid locally, if we were to go, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, we were to pray 5 times a day for 65 years, we probably would somewhere reach that number. So in Haram, you can only do that in 5 days. So what I'm trying to say, if you were to do that in when you go to Medina, the Masjid of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if we were to go and do the same thing there, it would take at least 14 days for the same amount of reward. But what we see, that the companions could have just stayed in Mecca and Medina and kept getting their reward. But however, they left. Why they left? Because they understood that, when you're doing tijara with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that every time that someone becomes a Muslim, you get the reward of that person, and that person gets a reward of it, right? So this is very important for us to kind of understand, that we are not just, going out and conveying the message. There are great rewards for the dawah. And, the opposite is true. There are great rewards, and there are some challenges as well if we don't give the dawah. Because I remember we were having a talk in one of the universities, and one of the sister, who's a practicing sister in the audience said, you know what, if my neighbor, drinks alcohol, how is that my problem? It's not my problem. So what she forgot to understand, that in Islam, as you know, is built upon many principles, right? And one of the principles in Islam is to enjoin good and forbid evil. So if you don't forbid evil, you will be questioned for that. And I'm sure you guys know the story where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the angels, and they came down, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to destroy this nation. And when they came down, they found the Abid. And when they found this Abid, they went back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, we can't destroy this nation because there's an Abid. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He says to go back and start with him. Why? Because he did not enjoin good and forbid evil. So he was enjoining good for himself, but he wasn't calling other people. So it's very, very important, brothers and sisters, that we need to, enjoin good and forbid evil. And what we're saying here is good is the whole of Islam. We need to call people to Islam. So you can even see this hadith here. The Prophet ﷺ said, I swear by one whose hand is my soul, either you will command good or forbid evil, or Allah soon will send upon the punishment from him, and you will make dua, supplicate, and then you'll call upon him, and he will not respond to you. And sometimes we have to look at that and assess our condition, brothers and sisters. When we have calamities that are happening to us, like we discussed last week, there is so much Islamophobia. Is it really Islamophobia because, it's just Islamophobia, or because we didn't do our job? We're not sharing people what Islam is. We're not, educating the people that what they understand, what they're seeing in CNN and Fox News and all these misconceptions online. is not what is correct. You know, we have to give them the right message. Like I said last week, if you're not telling your story, someone else is. So this is, I'm sure pretty many of you know the story of the three types of people that were, you know, that in the Bani Israel. If you read the surah, when we see here, when you look at the surah here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us 136 to 165 in the Quran, that what happened is there was three types of the people. I'm sure you guys all know the story of the Sabbath, right? In the story of the Sabbath, what was going on? There were three types of people. One, they were breaking the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say to them? Do not fish on Saturdays. So what did they say? So somebody came up with an idea that we will cast the net on Friday nights and we will it on Sunday mornings. So technically we're not working Saturday. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded the Bani Israel that do not work on Saturdays. So they were breaking the commandments. So lots of people started to join that person's worldview, and they started to break the commandments by doing the same thing. So then there was three kinds of people. One, that were breaking the commandments, and number two were the people that were the preachers, the da'is, the people who were calling people to enjoin good and forbid evil. They were the second type. And the third type were the people that said, you know what, it's none of my business. You know what, I go to masjid, I pray 5 times a day, I give my zakat, I go to Hajj, I keep I fast. I don't have to worry about the neighbor. It's not my problem. So these are the three types of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran. Those are the three types of people. And then what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed the 2 out of the 3 people, 3 types of people. What are the 2 people? Number ones that were breaking the commandment, and number 2, the ones that said, it's none of my business. I don't care. It's not me. Why go preach to them? So who was saved from them is the one that were going out and conveying the message, who were telling them to stop, don't break the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what do we learn from these stories, brothers and sisters? That we have to enjoin good and forbid evil. So today what basically we covered was the motivations and rewards. What are the rewards of the dawah? One person that accepts Islam from us, that person, when he becomes Muslim, he all the reward of a good deed he gets, and we get the reward of it. So one of the greatest business you can get into is to calling people to good and forbidding evil. So this is one of the greatest rewards. Now imagine if one person becomes Muslim by you, or by you planting the seed, and from that person he gets married to another sister who may have not been Muslim, and she becomes Muslim with him, and now they have children. And those children are grown up to be Muslim. Let's say they have a family of 3 or 4 kids. Now there's 6 people that become Muslim because of one person. And now those 6 people, those 3 or 4 kids are going to have their own families, their own kids, and so on and so forth. And you can see very quickly within a couple of 100 years, what are the rewards? So on the day of judgment, there'll be a mizan of the reward that'll be on your mizan. And you will ask, where did this come from? I didn't do all of these good deeds. I didn't pray this much. I didn't give this much zakat. I didn't go to this much umrah. I didn't do this much hajj. I didn't fast. So the rewards of the dawah are very huge. And the consequences of not giving the dawah are very severe as well, brothers and sisters. So today I wanted to share this quick message with you guys about what are the rewards and what are the what are the challenges if we're not sharing the message of Islam. I hope all of you can just relate to this and understand why this is so important. We as Muslims, we are here in the West. We are not in Dar al-Islam. So if we're not in Dar al-Islam, one of the things we should be doing is to be calling people to what? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So Jazakallah khair, all of you. May Allah bless you all. Inshallah, I will see you next week, and we will be talking about another topic that we'll be covering when it comes to dawah, that will hopefully inspire and motivate you. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, it's ira.ca. You can go there. You can join as a volunteer if you want to be part of it. You can be in any essence. You want to be a volunteer. You want to help with admin work. Anything you could do for the dawah. If nothing else, you can make dua for us. You can donate, whatever you want to, however you want to get involved. Brothers and sisters, if we do not get involved with Dawah, brothers and sisters, we are going to, as a community, we're going to be left behind. Because I tell you something, the non-Muslims, they invest so much money into their batil Dawah. They spend money, their resource, their time. I've seen some of the Christian missionaries learn different languages to give Dawah. They're not just devoted on just putting money in the box. They're actually committing their whole life. People travel throughout the globe to give their batil Dawah. And we have the haqq. We should be going out and conveying the haqq. So please get involved with Dawah in any way you can, whether it's, through, direct, active, or passive. So Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you all. My name is Ali Usman. I'm your brother from Ira, Canada. Inshallah, we'll speak to you next week.